So we're here to review some of those concepts for pitching, especially when we got those special situations, meaning that the lie became unlevel. So we either had a downhill lie, an uphill lie, with the ball kind of below our feet, or with the ball above our feet. And I'm standing here in the flat right now just to remind everybody that whatever your neutral position is off your body, or if you gauge it between your feet, you know, we need to be able to find that when we hit those slopes. So my neutral position, if I was to place the club on my sternum and then kind of walk right over the top of the ball, that the ball is slightly ahead of my sternum or solar plexus. And that gives me the opportunity or the ability to brush the grass in the best spot possible. So now we have this scenario where the slope is angled towards the target, or it's some people would call this a downhill lie. And again, I'm trying to organize my body so that ball position is going to be in my neutral spot. So for me to do those things, when I step up to this golf ball, I need to position the golf ball actually more forward as to where I normally would. And then I'm going to take my pelvis and I'm going to tilt it with the slope. So my belt line and the slope, they match each other. And that for me is going to put a lot of pressure on my forward foot, but that's going to organize the ball position in my normal neutral spot. And the other thing that I like to do, this is my preference, but I like to pull my trail foot out of the way a little bit and then just kind of learn to pivot around that lead foot. So again, I kind of tilt my pelvis with the slope. To do that, I'm going to take my spine and tilt it towards the target. So I have to position the ball a little bit farther forward than I would on the flat, because once I tilt my spine, then I can get that normal neutral ball position. So here now I'm on an upslope, or the slope is tilted away from the target. So again, for me to get that neutral ball position off the right part of my body, I need to move the ball a little further back as I tilt my pelvis. And again, this is going to put a lot of pressure on my trail foot. So the ball's a little bit further back, and then as I tilt my pelvis, my spine tilts away. And the technical challenge I feel of this shot is to try to move some pressure up the slope so you can control that low point nicely. So again, remember, right, this is the slope. I'm going to make my pelvis match it, and to do that, the ball needs to be a little bit further back than I normally would have it, so it would go to my neutral ball position. And then I'm going to do my best to work some pressure up the slope. This is really when I feel the more of the challenging shots, or the slope is towards the golf ball. And I'm going to turn this way a little bit, so we need to create a little bit of a counterbalance. So I'm going to take my pelvis and I'm going to kind of push it back behind my heels, and when I kind of push it back and lower it, that immobilizes my lower body a little bit. So when I'm making my strokes, I got to remember that my lower body can't help quite as much as it normally would, so my strokes may be a little longer than they might be for this particular shot. And I'm going to make a few rehearsal strokes just to kind of gauge where that bottom of the swing is, or where that low point is. And once I feel pretty good about controlling it, I'm just going to walk up there and do what I just rehearsed. So now the slope is back towards the golfer, or the ball is above my feet. And this one, the compensatory movements are pretty easy. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull my pelvis in a little bit, or my chest is going to come up a little bit. So I'm going to be standing a little bit closer to the ball than I might normally be, but I'm going to keep my normal neutral ball position. Everything else is relatively the same. I'm just in a little closer and just a little bit taller. So sometimes our ball ends up in the rough around the green, and we get a variation of lies when we get into the rough. And I feel the real skill of this is learning how to judge the lie, and then you can kind of make a decision as to which technique you're going to use based on the lie. We're going to just move in the camera so you can get like kind of a closer up of these shots, but we have 3 particular distinct situations that we'll discuss. So the first one, this is the ball kind of sitting on top of the grass, and when we get into the technique to playing that one, it is very similar to just playing out of the fairway. Controlling that arc height is going to become very important for that. The second one is the ball's kind of down in the grass, or when we address it, we kind of realize that, well, I really can't hit the ball, so I'm going to have to use the grass to kind of move the ball. And then the third one, the ball is actually physically on the ground with the grass kind of wrapped around it, which is the most challenging one. And we'll give you 2 options for that one. So in this first one, your job would be just like you're on the fairway grass, to control that arc height. The only problem is, or difficulty is we don't have the ground for the bottom of the club to kind of skid across. So you, the golfer, you got to be able to adjust that arc height and control it. There have been times when I've seen golfers set up to hit this shot and put their club on the ground, and believe it or not, I've seen actually highly skilled golfers slide their club right underneath the golf ball. And that's not the most fun thing to do, specifically in a competitive situation. So just remember, you got to be able to control that arc height. I like a few practice strokes. Again, I kind of pull my chest up a little bit and I address that golf ball just like I would on the nice fairway grass, and then I just make my normal pitching swing. And this middle one, if you get out here and actually put some balls, or actually just drop some balls in the rough around the practice greens, you'll get a little bit better at the skill of judging the lie. Sometimes you might want to be careful, because if you put your club in the grass may bend down and you may cause the ball to move, and unfortunately that'd be a penalty. So just be careful when you're trying to gauge how far down the ball is into the grass. And I don't make a whole lot of compensations for this one. I just imagine now, instead of me trying to touch with the bottom of the club in the very specific spot, I'm going to be a little bit earlier. I'm going to use the grass to move the ball a little bit. And again, I'm going to make some rehearsals just to feel how this grass is going to affect my club moving through it. So I got an idea what it feels like. I'm just going to make that feel happen. Okay, so this is the fun one. And like I said, I'm going to give you 2 options for this one. So the first one, I call it kind of defensive. And all I mean by that is, it's an option to get it out, but you really can't control the golf ball very well, or it may shoot out quite aggressively, where you take the ball and you kind of move it backwards in your stance, and you lean the handle a little bit forward, and you're trying to make this sweet spot travel downward on top of the grass behind that ball, and it'll kind of launch it out. So that kind of stroke looks like this. So the other way, and again, decide what your skill set is before you get out here and attempt some of these golf shots. And if you want to improve your skill set, you can contact me, or you can contact any of your Cliffs Club's golf professionals, and they can help you out. But my recommendation is we kind of play this like a bunker shot. So I'm going to take the club and I'm going to expose a little bit more of the bottom, or open the club a little bit. And I'm actually going to try to use some ground to move that golf ball out of this unfortunate lie that I found myself in. Just like a greenside bunker shot, I'm going to use the ground to help move that golf ball. So get out and practice these ideas. It's one great thing to have the knowledge, but knowing isn't doing. So make sure you get out and do as well. And these are just some guidelines for these particular types of shots. If you have any questions, give me a call or contact me at skennedy@cliffsliving.com.